I'm delighted to welcome this morning the very beautiful LaToya Zavala, who is an inner power life coach for women. Hello, LaToya. What a beautiful name.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Elaine. And I'm so privileged and honored to be here. Thank you so much for trusting me to be on your podcast.
Wonderful, wonderful. Very welcome. So you have an accent, and I know you're living in a country that's not your original birthplace. So explain yourself, please. Who are you? Give us some interesting facts.
Do you know, I have been asked that question several times. So it's very interesting, I think, my accent. So I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States. My parents, though, are Jamaican, and they're very Jamaican. And my upbringing, my roots, my environment was very Jamaican. And I didn't even know about the American culture until I left America, to be honest with you. So sometimes when I'm in certain places or, talking to certain people, people are asking me, explain yourself. Where did that accent come from? And I know that it's the Jamaican behind, but there's the Jamaican, and then there's the mixture of I think, Boston that they mix together and come out. Both are subdued because I have lived outside of the United States. So I've lived in Mexico, I've lived in Japan, I've lived in Kazakhstan, and now I'm in Portugal. So I know both accents are subdued, but they come out every once in a while.
Cool. Okay, that must have been interesting. Jamaican in Massachusetts. That sounds like a song title, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. We should write it. We should write the song.
So, okay, so you're an inner power life coach. What do you mean by that?
Yes. So really, the title is born from my own story. So I am how I self-describe. I'm a survivor turned thriver of sexual assault, of abuse, of all forms of abuse for much of my life. And so it took me, as you can imagine, a journey to find my inner power, to find the power in my voice, to find my inner power, and to be able to move and act and decide and be from that inner power, right? Not external power and control, business power. No, the inner power, right? This inner authority. And so I know how so very important it is for women to find that. And as I've been doing my spiritual counseling and life coaching, I realized that it all kind of, for me, it boils down to, I want you to be in your power, this inner power. And so I'm like, yeah, that's who I am. I'm your inner power life coach.
Cool. That's really good. It does describe what it says on the tin, sort of thing. So spiritual counselling, how does that fit with life coaching?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So I was what we would consider a spiritual counselor, a chaplain for the military, for the Navy, for 10 years. And what that entailed in the military is that I am not a clinical, I'm not clinically licensed, but I was helping people to find other paths other than clinical therapy, clinical licensure, to heal. And so it's a spiritual healing in that helping people find what is their spirituality, what's their beliefs, the core beliefs that come from, and healing from that place, healing the mindset, healing what can't be licensured, actually, right? And so helping people from all walks of life, from all traumas, find that intangible, right? That indescribable, and heal from that place. And I've been doing that for 10 years. And so really it is life coaching in that allowing people to find themselves, find their purpose, find their meaning, find their own way of being and believing is a spiritual thing. And so bringing that into all forms of life and inner power is how it merges with life coaching. I hope Obviously it's the indescribable, but hopefully that was
that
helpful.
Makes perfect sense. And the fact that your background of 10 years being a chaplain, that kind of gives us an image. So when you were the chaplain in the Navy, or a chaplain in the Navy, is that role, well, describe that role to us. So is that kind of helping men and women? Is it a particular religion? How does that kind of look?
Yeah, thank you for asking that too, because a lot of people, tend to think it came from almost like being a pastor to the military, right? Being a minister to the military. And that's how it kind of started. But as the country evolved and people's beliefs evolved and their ways of being evolved, so too did the title. And so even though chaplains come from their own spiritual background, the beauty of chaplaincy is that the premise is that you come as you are, regardless of your beliefs or your gender or your creed, right? Or your background. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you believe, that we will hold this beautiful space for you to really connect yourself, to the power of yourself, and give you that space to really form your own beliefs and then move from the power of that. So that's the beauty of chaplaincy, is that no matter what our background is, that we hold the space for that person to come into their own. And that's chaplaincy. And so it is open to, as a military chaplain, it's open to all military personnel and their families. It also entailed what we would call 100% confidentiality, absolute. So that chaplains have no clauses. We were held by federal law, which means no clauses, no harm to self, no harm to others. It's absolute confidentiality. And so I held that for 10 years for people so that they could have a space to heal from whatever it is that they needed to heal from.
Wow, that's powerful. But how did you protect yourself? It's all very well helping others to heal and find themselves, but what happened to LaToya in those 10 years?
Yeah, that's a really common question too. Some chaplains, they just reconnect to their divinity. Some chaplains use their cats. I along the way developed my own way of spirituality and being. Eventually I came to the place where I did reconnect to my place of divinity and started doing Reiki healing, self-energy healing, which was super powerful for me. And it continues to be as I evolve in that. My husband was a very safe place. I didn't carry the information to him, but it was a safe place for me to heal and to be and to melt when I needed to do that. Yeah. Brilliant.
And that's so important, isn't it? So many healers I speak to and people who now do they specialize in all kinds of therapies and modalities. Every single one without fail have come to what they're doing because of some kind of trauma that they've experienced. And some of the stories are quite sad, but extremely powerful, which is great. And the fact that you've linked now what you were doing within a confined environment, shall we say, to the outside world must be really quite empowering for you too.
Yeah, thank you. It is. It's very empowering. And one of the reasons why I left the military a little early, and I did that because I just didn't want to be bound anymore. I really wanted to connect with who needed to connect with me and just really have a broader reach, honestly. Just have a broader reach and a little less bureaucracy in between myself and client. And it's super empowering for myself. It's super empowering for myself. And I'm getting ready to talk a little bit more about that in my videos because freedom is so powerful, and it comes in many, many different ways, in many, many different forms. And for me, it came in that form, releasing myself from the military and opening myself to a broader audience is freedom for me.
Brilliant. Just bear with me a second. Talking of cats, I've just had to let the cat in, and now
Okay.
somebody's talking in the next space, and I need to stop the noise. Just bear with me a second.
Sure.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. How funny,
No.
talking of cats and one appears. So, so how do you do what you do? Do you see people in person? Do you do Zoom calls? I mean, how do you work, LaToya?
Yeah, so of course we're all in this COVID environment, right? And I actually transitioned into the entrepreneurship space in the COVID environment. So I've only ever seen my clients, my business clients, through Zoom, and it's been working very well. There's, when the intention is there, then the energy exchange is just as powerful. So I see my clients through Zoom. I am getting ready to do individual sessions of EFT and Reiki. And if, as the COVID environment changes, hopefully, I'd love to see single session clients in nature, like go to the park and then, ground to the earth and do some Reiki EFT sessions there. And I think that would be super, super powerful. And I can't wait to do that.
That sounds fabulous. Excuse me, there's been a lot of coaches now doing the walking and the talking, as they call it. And that's really, it's a nice way to get to know clients as well, isn't it? Without the kind of stuffiness of an office or a clinical setting in the environment. That's really cool.
It is cool. I think I think there's a sense of freedom there. I think there's a sense of a little more openness. What's the word I'm looking for? I think it helps with any resistance or blocks, I think is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's a nice calming atmosphere, because when you're in Mother Nature, how can you not appreciate the beauty that's all around? And so many people just dash from here to there and the next thing and the next thing and get into overwhelm without stopping to see what's what. I mean, for example, when we drive our cars, we only see what we need to see to keep us safe. We don't see the beauty around us unless we make a special effort. I'm always saying thank you when I'm driving around. You might see a bird or a sunset or something wonderful in the trees around us. But when you're a passenger in the car, you see so much more, don't you?
Absolutely. That reminds me so much of this incident, and I remember it quite often. When I was in Japan and my son was, I think he was 6, and I was always from here to there, here to there, here to there, here to there. I had him in all these activities, and I was working so hard, and there, and I was stressed. I was stressed to the max. Like I was dying. And I remember I had him in the car. I was taking him from school aftercare to an activity, and I was stressed. I probably was at the wheel like this. And I remember him saying to me, "Mommy, look at the clouds. Wow, the clouds are so beautiful, Mommy. Look at the clouds." And it was like, like
in your face,
just in my face, like stop, like just stop and breathe and take a moment to, It was a very powerful moment for me, as simple as it was.
And I think that's a really good word. The simplicity. We seem to have lost the simplicity of life, and people dash in here, there, and everywhere without stopping to smell the roses, as we say. And the roses are beautiful, and they smell delicious, and they make us smile. Things that make us smile are very simple, aren't they?
They're very simple, and not only very simple, but I know the title of the podcast is about health, and it's healthy. We need it. It's not like a nice to have, or isn't that cool? It's necessary, right? So now we're getting into all these modalities, and I don't knock them about the breathing techniques and like all those things. But imagine that we're a society that has come into a place that we have to teach ourselves again how to breathe. Right? That when I was doing my Reiki certification, that my practitioner was saying, just be very, very mindful of the patient, because very often they stop breathing, they forget to breathe. And it's like we have become so stressed, so A-type, like we are not even breathing, Elaine. Like And all these things that we're taking our medicine from, our perfumes, you know, come from rose, and our medications come from plants, and these things being in the sun, right? How many of us are going from building to car to building, building to car to building, and how much time do we actually allow ourselves some sunlight? These things are necessary, necessary for life and health, and they are the simplest.
Exactly. And we're both fortunate to live in Portugal, where there is plenty of sunshine.
With it, right.
And lovely nature around us, and so on. Yeah, it's energizing, isn't it? When you look out of the window in the morning and the sun is shining, and we're blessed with that, but not everybody has that. So how would you encourage people if they don't have the wonderful environment that we have? How do you encourage people to uplift themselves, to be healthy, to find their inner power and so on? Where can somebody start?
You know, I'm a fan of start where you are, right? And start with what you have. And if you know, I'm a mom of 3, my middle is adopted, and life gets super crazy. And sometimes it's literally locking myself in the bathroom or a room and sitting in the corner and breathing for 2 minutes. It's sometimes for me, it's being in the shower and closing my eyes. I literally do this, Elaine, this is true. I literally do this. I stand in the shower and I let the water fall over me, if I can, right at the top of my head. And I close my ears. And when you do that, the shower head, it sounds and feels like rain, like warm rain. And I do that, and I close my ears and I count back from 60 to 1. And I just give myself a minute of health, of just breathing, of reconnecting, of being thankful for water itself, because the earth produces that for us. And our environment produces, you know, just the start with where you are with what you have, right? And then if you can expand from there, give yourself a minute of, it might be cloudy, but the sun is still there. And that might be a powerful, you know, transition mindset for you, that it might be cloudy in my life, but the sun is still there. The light is still there. The heat is still there. So go outside and know within your heart and that the sun is still out there for me. And so go out there and just have a minute in nature, just a minute. Sometimes I take my kids to the park. And it's not that fun for me sometimes, honestly. But sometimes if it's warm enough, I take my shoes off and I put my feet on the ground and just allow myself just to connect, even if it's just for a minute. Start with where you are and what you have, even if it's just for a minute. You will be surprised what a minute can do for your life, for your mental, emotional health.
Really, really good advice. Thank you. I'm going to try that when I'm in the shower. I find the shower meditative.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't connect with the meditation piece that everybody's banging on about. It's just not me. I'm just too not into that. But apparently I do meditate, but I do it actively. So like you say, having the shower. So the 60 to 1 countdown, that's wonderful, because that means because 60 seconds, I used to have a radio show, and 1 or 2 seconds is a long time. 60 seconds it seems a lifetime. You know, what are you going to do to fill that space? So for me I digressing slightly, but still on the shower and the meditation thing, I had in a previous house, I had an inspection by the water people. They were coming around the houses to see how much water we were using and see if we could reduce our water consumption, etc., etc. And the guy checked everything out. He said, "You've done a wonderful job, everything here." He said, "I can't improve upon it, but what I can do is give you this timer." And he gave me like an egg timer thing that you stick on the wall. And he said, "We encourage people to have not more than 4 minutes in the shower."
Oh.
So I thought, well, I didn't know how long I was in the shower. I've never calculated it, but I've always been mindful of conserving resources. So I used it, and it turned out that I was only in the shower for 2 minutes, my normal way of showering.
Oh, wow.
So I get the water over me, lather up, rinse off, job done. That's it. And it was only about 2 minutes.
you'd have done well in the military. You would have done well.
I was in the police for a while, but that's not, doesn't quite count. But so I know that I have got time and space to do that. So saying a minute to me actually is really helpful, you know, and the counting down. I wouldn't have thought to have done counting down 60 down. So that's really helpful. Thank you. Awesome. Every day is a school day. And I love these interviews because there's always something, you know, that we can share with each other, and it's fabulous. And the breathing, when I had my cancers, I had a breathing coach, and to increase the help increase the oxygen, and I recommend her all over the place, Jen Tiller. And she taught me how to use potato breathing through the nose. So you breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, then you pause. And it's in the pause where you get the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. And that's really powerful, and keeps you going and increases your oxygen level. So many ways that we can help ourselves. But going back to the inner power thing, so you were talking about connecting with the kind of the source of power. So where is the power? Is it really inside us? Is it outside of us? Is it a mix? Where is the source, the key source of power?
Yeah, the source. It is my belief, and this is the premise from which I move, that the power is within us. The power is in, and both my degrees are in theology, and most major religions teach the same thing. Maybe the way that some people are teaching it is distorted, but even Christianity, God says the kingdom is within you, right? And so even, you know, Jesus says the same things that I have done, you will also do. What does that mean? That means the power is in you, that there is a creative power within you, right? Buddha teaches that. Islam teaches that. So Jainism teaches that when you're connected to nature, nature's connected to you. And so the power that is within nature is also within you. There's so many major religions that teach in a particular way, in their own way, that the power really, truly, you were created and born within that power. That power was in you. What has happened? What has happened is ego. What has happened is trauma. What has happened is with the birth and creations of culture and traditions, hierarchies within that, assigned roles and expectations within that, has crept in and eaten away and eaten away and eaten away. And so really the premise that I work with is reconnecting people to themselves, because they do know, they do have, they can, they are, right? All these words, these ways of being, it really is in here. I tell people, there are these stories, right? Heroic stories of women. It's happened at least 2 or 3 times that I know of, that has been in the news, where women, you know, a car or something is coming over their child, and then all of a sudden, right? Yeah. They can lift enough to save this child. Why? Because the power is there. But all these other things have crept in and became this huge like fluff buffer between really truly our inner core selves and who we are expected to be, who we're told that we are, and what we're told that we can and cannot and should not do, right? And so when we see all these things, right, the monks who can go into the caves and then they can regulate their temperature, the power is there. It is in here. And so when we reconnect ourselves to ourselves, and we free, right? So my power circle on Facebook is release that ish, right? And so all these things that are hanging on us, that are disconnecting us from our true inner core selves, we've got to release, because it's under there. we got to release. We've got to release. We've got to release. And it's almost a life work, depending on how much you've been through, your background, your culture, your religion, your trauma. It's almost a life work to continue to release, to continue to discover what needs to be released and release, discover what needs to be released and release, right? And it's such a beautiful and freeing and life-giving process. That was a long answer, but I hope I hope I answered. Yeah, the power is here. And I think when you're reading, you know, the Indian ancient scriptures and Buddha's writings and the Torah and the Bible, when you're reading these things, really what they're describing is when you're connecting to this divine or universe or nature, then this divine universe, nature, source of power is trying to lead you to connect you to the power that's given to you. Right?
It's everything starts and stops with us, doesn't it?
And with this beautiful, I guess modern day word we could use, computer, right? Supercomputer that we have inside this head of ours, right?
And that can help us, but it can also hinder us, can't it?
The use of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I put behavioural profiling into my health mentoring program, because our behaviour can help us to heal, which my behavioural style helped me to heal from stage 4 cancer in 14 weeks.
Your story is amazing.
Some of my people that I mentor, their behaviour has been instrumental in the position that they're in. And when they see that it's actually making them worse, that helps them to snap out of it. And when they see physically the behaviour graphs, and you know, I explain how it works and so on and so forth, with the testing that I introduce as well, that they can assess their blood and their mineral imbalances and all the rest of it. So life's a picture, isn't it? It's not just one thing or another. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle of all of this stuff. But fundamentally, it starts and stops with us, and we get in our own way, don't we?
We do. We absolutely do. We absolutely do.
So I love your start where you are thing. And you said about Facebook, release that itch, was it that you said?
Yeah, ish. So that's a way of that's a way of softening the word shit. So that
ish. Okay,
yes,
right.
ish. ISH. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So my group is Release That Ish Power Circle. And that's the Facebook group where women can come in. I don't charge for it. The women can come in. We do a monthly EFT tapping session. And I do challenges in there, and just teaching women how to release that ish because there are a lot of manifesting modalities, which I do believe in, and I do think it has power, manifesting, healing, all those things. But a lot of times we're piling that goodness on top of the stuff that we haven't released yet. And the truth of the matter is, it's not going to be as powerful for you, and it's not going to work as quickly or the way that you would like it to if you don't release. And if nothing else, you may manifest the house or the money, but that peace, that self-love, that inner core power and authenticity and authority, that really is the stuff that juicy life is made of, is not going to be there for you. It's not going to be behind that if we don't take the time to release that ish. And there's a lot of ish that needs to be released, Elaine.
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't realize the amount of stuff intellectually we tell ourselves that we've dealt with stuff, but emotionally we haven't, and our bodies will tell us because it manifests in all kinds of symptoms.
It absolutely does. Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think we live in a society, because we're so smart, that we've created things to take care of the symptoms. And so it makes us feel like we don't need to take care of the root. Right. Yeah.
Getting to the root cause of things is fundamental, and why a lot of people don't heal from all kinds of conditions, because they haven't got to the root, which is why it's wonderful having people like you who can help them get to that root and deal with it and release their ish.
Yes. Thank
Wonderful.
you. And I feel the same about you. And even though we're slightly different realms, but yeah, I guess they call us light workers. The more light workers that are out there that people can approach their lives from all these different angles and different modalities, when they're aligned to it, is the more whole that we are.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned earlier on about the way you've come from survivor to thriver. Without going too much into detail, the survivor bit, you've mentioned various forms of abuse and so on and so forth. How has that experience formed and led you to what you now do, to the chaplaincy, and then to what you now do?
Yeah. So when you're going through it, sexual abuse, I entered a domestic violence relationship after several incidents of sexual abuse, which kind of formed the way that I thought about myself, self-worth, self-value, and kind of set the stage for me to enter this domestic violence relationship, where I was also violated and abused, taken advantage of financially, right? Emotionally, verbally, all those other things. And when you're going through that and you're still functioning, then you sometimes feel like you're the only one, that you're the stupid one, that you're the weak one, right? You're still functioning, you're still working, you're still giving, you're still, out there in society, going to school, whatever it is. And you look around and everybody looks like their lives are fantastic, and you feel like you're the only one. When in fact, later on, I realized that the statistics in the United States anyway is 1 in 4 women are going through this. 1 in 4 women.
Wow.
1 in 4 women, right? So when I teach people, hey, if you're in a room, if you're in a room with 20 people and there are 5 women in there, chances are that at least 1, probably 2 or 3 of them have gone through this. And so society has taught us in patriarchal societies that you just kind of carry on, right? You carry on and you survive. And that's what a lot of us are doing. And the pain is so very deep and real when you are carrying on and you feel like everyone else is okay and you're the only one carrying on, but really not okay. And I was, because of that dynamic, there's a tendency also for suicidal behavior. So, and I experienced that too. So knowing that, and then after doing some clinical methods that didn't really align with who I was, and then having to do the self-healing, and I realized how many women are out there who don't know that there are other modalities and ways to heal from this. They don't even know that they can heal from this. They don't even know that there is light at the tunnel, that you can heal from these triggers and this baggage, these leftovers. And so I wanted to be that voice. I wanted to be that light. I am healing. I'm coming through the tunnel. I'm enjoying life. I'm laughing. I'm having mutually fulfilling friendships and relationships. I've been married now for 20 years. Sexuality can be healed. All those things can heal. But there are some fundamental underlying things that I think patriarchal society, even a lot of the clinical methods, are not addressing. And some of that is the intangible, unspeakable, but can be touched through the energy healing, through the spiritual connection and healing. You don't necessarily have to go through there to go back to the story, but you can touch it and you can heal it. I'm sorry, I know it's a long answer, but I'm so very passionate about this because I meet so many women who feel like they have to settle into this survival mode, and they don't have to. There is a thriving mode that we can get to, and it is my passion every day, every day, every day. Don't settle. It is unfair. It is unfair for you to feel like you just have to settle for survival. It's unfair. It's unfair. And so let's release that ish so we can manifest your dream life, manifest your desires, but you deserve that. Women deserve that. Women deserve that.
And it's necessary.
And it's necessary. It's necessary. Our world is so much better when we are healthy and doing what we're called to do, when we're in our purpose, when we're in our passion, when we're on fire. Our communities and our environments are so much better because we bring something that the male energy doesn't bring, right? And there's an imbalance when we don't bring our energy.
Perfectly put. Fullness. Perfect. So release that ish power circle on Facebook. Where else can people find you, LaToya?
Oh, I'm definitely on Instagram at Be Free with LaToya Z, and that's my Instagram page. And so yeah, and then my website is freedempoweredup.com. It's past tense because we speak as though it is. Yes. So we are already freed and we are already powered up, right? So freedempoweredup.com is my website. And you can find me on Instagram or website or Facebook. Find me, connect with me. Let's get this.
Wonderful. It's been a joy speaking with you and learning from you this morning, LaToya Zavala. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elaine. It's been really fun. Thank you. And I so appreciate you having me on.